Hello and welcome to GPTV on Tuesday the 28th of August. My name is Philip Kingston.
And I'm Gary Peer.
And it gives me, Gary, great pleasure today to introduce our reigning salesperson of the month for the month of July. It gives me great pleasure, Gary, to introduce the one, the only, the fabulous, the exciting, the energetic Sally Zillman. Welcome, Sally.
Thank you.
Welcome, Sally,
Thank
the
you.
Queen of Real Estate. She's done it again. She's got the crown back on her head, Queenie. So well done. Congratulations on a great month. You've done it again. How do you keep doing it, Sal?
Well, I'm just going to interrupt, if you don't mind, because I just want to say to everybody watching GPTV,
Not going to get a word.
Working with Sally Zillman is an absolute inspiration. She's a year or two older than Gary and I, but I've never seen anybody that has more energy, more capacity, more enthusiasm, more zest for life than Sally. And I don't mind saying, for those of you that think she probably hasn't had her 30th birthday yet, Sal, you are a stunning real estate agent. You are a fabulous wife to Hennick. You are a grandmother to 3 little children, and on top of it, you blitz real estate records right across Melbourne. So as Gary says...
Yeah, can she talk now? Okay. Congratulations, Sally. Well done on a great month. Talk to us a little bit about how things are going out there for you.
Okay, you know, it's a tough market, but I'm delighted and thrilled to say there's buyers out there, there is activity, and we're getting things across the line. And I just have to point out, I work with the best men in the game. And
you are sitting there, a rose between 2 thorns, Sal.
And it's just so exciting, and we just love what we do. And we get out to the houses and encourage people to come in and look and buy. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing.
You sell a lot of different properties and a lot of different price ranges, but you tend to have, certainly within Gary Peer & Associates, a little bit of stranglehold on the top end, the prestige market, where you do, with Darren, of course, and your team, perform brilliantly well. Tell us a little bit about what's going on at the top end of the market, the prestige end of the market of Caulfield and beyond.
There are buyers, as I mentioned before. There are people who do want to buy, providing people want to sell. We'll find the happy medium between them. When you come to a beautiful house like this, in Scott Street, it's just a magnificent home that with all the bathrooms, with the Club Med lifestyle.
Well, let's talk a bit about where we are for our viewers, because you mentioned we're in Scott Street, and we just go everywhere. We're very versatile that way, aren't we, Phil? We just like to get around.
We do, Gary.
We are right now at an auction that happens this weekend. We are launching into it already prematurely, Sally, but we are at number 15 Scott Street, Caulfield South. Tell us a bit about this absolutely magnificent... I love this house. Tell us a bit about it.
So do I.
Yeah.
I had the pleasure of selling it a few years ago, and I remember at the time it was so keenly sought after. And it looks exactly the same as how it did.
If not better.
It stood the test of time really well. As I came in today, it looks as fresh and as new as it was when we sold it last time.
And really, how many houses have the opportunity for your children, for each of them to have their own bathroom, which is brilliant, and to have that Club Med lifestyle.
Yes, the pool's beautiful.
The pool with the cabana, with the whole gym set up outside, and your children never have to go anywhere. They can invite all their friends to come over and enjoy and have a wonderful, wonderful recreation time.
I mean, South Caulfield's a suburb that just keeps getting better. People are happy to spend their money here. They're happy to build. They're happy, and there's some beautiful homes. But I think if you drive around the streets, you'd find it hard to get a better house in South Caulfield than the one that we're sitting in at the moment.
Oh, this one's magnificent. It really, as I said, it tests the time factor, and it's just the finish. Everything about it is just brilliant.
It's this Sunday, and I think it's at 12:30 on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. We'll verify that. It will come over across the screen. But we are at 15 Scott Street, Caulfield South. We look forward to seeing you here this weekend, and on Sunday we've got one more open this Saturday beforehand. What else is happening
Before we cut to a bit of a market review, Sal, one of the things that I love about working with you is your indeflatable optimism. I know that one of the things that you say virtually every morning when you get up is, it's another beautiful day, let's enjoy the day.
That's so true.
So tell me, how do you remain in an industry that is got lots of people coming at you from all different directions? How do you remain so wonderfully optimistic?
I think you're just fortunate to be born with it. I think that's really what it's all about. But having said that, I developed a long time ago a bit of Teflon. I think which we all need. So, you know, things don't always work out, and you need to be able to just move on and accept things as they are. But there's so many wonderful people out there that we meet constantly, and we have we have a good time, don't we?
Yeah.
You know, we have a great time doing what we do.
We sure do. It is a great game of highs and lows. A lot of people wouldn't know that, but you know, you'll be working on a deal, you'll get that close, and then the whole thing will fall apart, and that happens. And when it's a big sale, you know, you feel it, but you manage to get yourself up off the ground every time and just keep punching.
I do.
It's great quality.
It's a challenge, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, it's a challenge for everybody in life to do certain things, and I think as real estate agents, we just love it, and it's just so exciting to have that opportunity to do so.
Yes, it is a bit of an addiction, isn't it?
It
We can't get away from it.
It is indeed.
Sally, great to have you on GPTV back again.
you.
Salesperson of the
Thank
month. We
you.
recognise and honour you, and thank you and congratulate you for that. And we've got lots more coming at you in a few moments' time, but thanks very much for being here again. Sally Zillman on GPTV.
Sally Zillman, she's the best.
Thank you.
Well done, darling.
Thank you very
Congratulations.
Well, how good is Sally Zillman? She's a complete inspiration to me and the rest of the sales team. Her indeflatable optimism is nothing short of incredible.
She is inspirational and never stops performing, and we love her for that. Congratulations to Sally again. Great to have her sitting on the couch with us at GPTV. We need to talk about the weekend, Phil, because it was an action-packed one.
What a weekend it was, Gary.
We reviewed some of
Another
them.
big weekend.
Yeah, it was a big weekend. We reviewed some of the properties last week. We're going to talk about what happened with some of those. But 8 out of 11, 73%.
Against an industry average, Gary, of 66%.
66, you can put those towers up now.
So the good news is not only did we smash the market average again, but I would like to talk about the market average because 66% is a really encouraging industry average.
It augurs well
we've
for
been
us.
hovering for most of the year in the sort of 55 range. So 66% off a larger volume, I think that augurs really well for spring.
And it probably won't go down by much because most of the stuff's reported. Sometimes there aren't for some of our viewers, not everybody reports their results out there.
Some of those naughty, pesky agents don't always report their failures. Having said that, we always do it, Gary, Peer & Associates.
Well, we don't have many failures to report.
Well, that's right, Gary. That's
Thankfully.
why we always do.
So it's probably going to be around 63 or 64, but still 73% was great. We talked a little bit last week about some of our auctions. Let's talk about them, Philip. Firstly, 2 at 4 Alexandra Street. Alexandra, not because I got in trouble from a viewer last week for calling it Alexandra. But we had an auction there on the weekend, Philip. Number 2 at 4, and we had 9 bidders at that auction. So that's extraordinary.
Fantastic. Well handled by Daniel Rees and Glenn Bricker, and well auctioned by Leo Samuel.
It was Leo this time. We got in trouble last week because we called the wrong auctioneer.
Now,
the reserve was $465, and it sold for $525. So it was
before
really
you go
good
on, we had a viewer, by the way, send us an email last week, Gary, wanting to know why on the couch we always sat in the same position where you are effectively on my right-hand side. Now, apparently he's done his research. All 40-odd episodes we've sat in this unique position, and he wondered why. Well, the very simple reason is that Gary's side, this side of his face, is his better looking side, and his other side is so terrible to look at, I refuse to sit on the other side.
Fair enough. Thanks so much for that, Philip. Let's keep moving on with the
I think
review.
that we're answering the viewers'
I've got something
interest.
for you. I'll get you back by the end of this show. Don't worry. We've got some good stuff coming up. One of the properties that we talked about last week, Phil, that didn't sell was at 24 Seymour Road. Architect designed by Ian Freeman, a beautiful house. And gee, I reckon we've got a very reasonable asking price.
I've got to tell you, at $1,395,000, this property will not sit around. And I challenge anybody that's interested in a property like this, rush down, ring Adam Josky, get through this property because it is a beauty.
And you know, if you're looking up to 1.5, you know, and I know you'll get some change from that, you're not going to get a more beautiful home than that one. So that one didn't sell to somebody's good fortune who still has a chance of buying it. 12 Halstead Street, Philip. We did sell that one. We had 3 buyers there. It was a
big
beautiful
auction,
family home.
held it inside.
Held inside.
And a house with that bigger entertaining areas just sucked in the 100 people easily. We've got plenty of room for a housewarming party.
The second time we've sold that home, a beautiful family home. It was passed in and sold very shortly after auction for an undisclosed price. But we've got a happy family moving in,
we do.
Happy family moving out.
Happy families,
who we wish well, that's for sure. Let's talk a little bit about what's coming up this weekend. We've reviewed this one here. This one, obviously, Scott Street. It is on Sunday at 12:30 p.m. We've got another one to review, Philip, that's coming up, and that's at 17 Latrobe Street. That's a beautiful property, really well positioned in Caulfield South.
A corner property,
It's
really
corner
lovely
property.
home, this one.
Coming up Saturday at 11:30 a.m. I know Adam's been very involved with that one.
Yeah, that should go well.
It should go well, but certainly, ladies and gentlemen, if you're looking for something that's good value in Caulfield South, that's a great home and great land sale, or great land site, I should say. It's probably better than land, I'm sure. come along and see it this Saturday at 11:30am.
One auction we didn't talk about from last weekend, which I do want to talk about, was, and this is really testament to why you should hold an auction.
Okay,
we had a villa, a three-bedroom villa, one of two the rear of the property, and we had
Emma Street.
Emma Street, yep, 2 at 4 Emma Street. We had a reserve there, Gary, of $650,000. We had a good campaign. We knew we were going to have a competitive auction. We thought we would get the reserve fairly easily, which was $650,000. Competitive auction, 2 parties fought it out, and we ended up selling it for $770,000. Now that's $120,000 over the reserve. If ever there is a reason to always go through the auction process, that really one does stand out.
Well, we did talk a couple of weeks ago about auction versus private sale, and that's a good case in point.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about one more that you're involved with this weekend. It's coming up on Sunday at 2:30 in Linden Street in Ripponlea.
This is the most fantastic house in the most beautiful position. It's walking distance to 2 of my favourite cafes. I know I have talked about this before, but walking distance to Spout in Glenara Road and walking distance to Hawke and Hunter, which is in Glenara Avenue. And you can literally walk out your front door, go and grab a coffee from either of those places and jump on the train at the Ripponlea railway station. So that's a really good spot.
It's a good location, and for those viewers that don't care about coffee, there's lots of other features in the area that
I
you can
can't
enjoy.
imagine there is a viewer that doesn't care about coffee, Gary.
Well, we've got some real estate karma on GPTV. Just before we wrap up, that I want to talk a little bit about, because I just want to show a little snippet now on GPTV of what was said a couple of weeks ago about the Peer family and their driving abilities. So we'll just cut away for a minute just to this little bit of footage. Yeah, she was great, because her name was Greater.
She might have been great because her name was Greater, but she was actually one of Melbourne's worst drivers because she invented the drive-in newsagent.
Drive-through newsagent was the innovation of my Aunt Greater. She did drive through a news agency in Bay Street in Brighton. Didn't even have to get out to get a newspaper. Just opened the window and said, "Herald, thanks."
Foot slipped on the accelerator. She reversed straight through and drove straight through the newsagent. And let me just say on GPTV that Gary Peer is a great real estate agent, but his family are possibly the worst drivers on the planet.
So now you've had a look at that, so you can see, Philip, you brought some pretty ill karma on me and my family, but you know what? It's the wheels, they turn, Phil, the wheels turn around, and and bagging the Peer dynasty family about their driving. Let's talk a little bit about what happened out on the road there at one of our auctions. The first one, in fact, that we sold it in Daniel Crescent on Sunday. Let's talk about what you managed to do in your big, ostentatious, stupid Range Rover on the weekend, shall we?
Well, I've got to tell you, Gary, one of the great joys of driving a Range Rover is that when you do have an accident, very little happens to the Range Rover.
So you had an accident, did you?
Well,
Is that what happened?
I'm not saying that it was my fault, but I arrived at the auction in Seymour Road, and there was not a lot of time.
Seymour Road or Daniel Crescent?
No, Seymour Road.
Seymour Road.
There was not a lot of time between my last auction and Seymour Road, so I was cutting it fine. I had about 7 minutes to go before the auction started. So I came into Seymour Road and did somewhat of a U-turn in Seymour, and I'm looking in the rear vision mirror as I'm reversing backwards, although that doesn't really sound like a U-turn, but probably does summarise the way I drive. And I hear this enormous crunch. And in the rear vision mirror, I have just crunched a very lovely 5 Series BMW. Now, I've got to tell you, I don't really care about cars, and I don't. And
clearly
you know,
not.
And the fact is, that's what panel beaters are for, to repair cars. So I'm running late for this auction, so I jump out of the car, and I know that you've got to go through the whole exchange of names and phone numbers, but I thought I'd cut straight to the point because I figure it's a 5 Series BMW. It's probably going to be somebody quite upset. So I jump out of the car, ready to give the guy the name of my solicitor, because I figure he's going to probably just want to sue me. The guy gets out of the silver 5 Series BMW. I'm just about to say to him, just call my solicitor, when I look at the guy and it is my solicitor. So I've just crunched my solicitor's car. But the story gets better. We kind of laugh and we talk about whose fault it is, and he's naturally telling me it's my fault. I'm telling him it's his fault.
It is your fault.
Well, I can't admit that publicly.
Yeah, I'm going to.
Although
I'm going to be paying for half of it because it's a company car.
We laugh about it, and then the funniest thing is my last auction for the day is at 3:30, where who arrives at the auction but that same gentleman who is representing a buyer at my last auction. So it's just amazing what happens in a day in the life of a real estate auctioneer.
Fact is stranger than fiction, and there it is for you, ladies and gentlemen. GP karma at its best. He copped it and he deserved it. But unfortunately, I just remembered that, yes, it is a company car, so I'll be wearing part of the cost. So maybe I should take the smile off my face and not feel so funny about it. A big week coming up this week. Lots of things happening. It is the end of winter, Phil. Spring starts, final start. Next week, we've got an announcement about a competition that we're going to give away an iPad. Is it an iPad?
It's the top of the line. I think
we'll
it's
show
the
it
top
next
of the line
week, yeah.
iPad, Gary. And it's been kindly given to us by our friends at realestate.com,
yes,
who we obviously
Sponsor
heavy advertisers with
yes,
realestate.com,
yes,
because it's a terrific website, and
yes,
they've given us an iPad to give away as part of our spring GPTV.
And we had a competition in our office as to what competition we should have on GPTV, and Ben Rothschild won that. So we'll talk about that next week. Action-packed real estate. We are going to be looking forward to welcoming you to spring 2012 next week on GPTV. In the meantime, I'm Gary Peer.
I'm Philip Kingston. Thanks for watching and have a great week.
See you next week.